So I'll admit there are some guys out there that have this ability to be assholes to women. They do some fuckboy shit. They play games or whatever. Most guys don't have it like this. This is the thing that women don't quite understand. That most guys don't have the ability to garner attention from a majority of women or a decent number of women enough to even be in the position to fuck them over. Most guys just want a girl, and they will treat her right, they will be loyal, they will be chivalrous, they will bring her flowers, but women aren't checking for these guys. I've already done enough nice guy finish last video, so this is not one of them. Now what I will say though, is tonight I am going to give you 3 of my top savage F-boy moments. And they're based on a true story. Believe me, I know. My penis was on the line. So without further ado, welcome to the Radical Masculine.
The ideas, opinions, and beliefs of the Radical Masculine are for entertainment purposes only. We make fun of everyone equally.
This is going to be a shorter video, not because I don't have many savage stories, but I'm only going to give you a couple tonight. So with that said, make sure you pay attention to the video because you may be able to learn something good or bad, or you may just laugh at my inadequacies or my F-boyism. But don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the content. You can always cash at me, and all the money goes right back into the Radical Masculine because I have big, huge plans, and we're going to light the world on fire. But needless to say, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Who cares about the Cash App? Shit, just subscribe and like the video. Do me that favor. But anyway, so we're going to start. So this starts way back in 2001. In 2001, I was a 16-year-old young man, strong like bull, horny as a pig, with a dirty mind that would make Kim Kardashian think twice about sex. It was pretty bad. Now, I was a virgin. Now, I had plenty of opportunities in middle school. I could have, let's say this. If I lost my virginity early on, I would have slayed. I probably could have caught, no bullshit, 10 to 15 bodies in middle school. Now, don't get me wrong. It's, not the first time I pulled it out of the package, out of the wrapper and said, hey, look. It wasn't the first time for that, but I mean actual, I was still a virgin. But never mind. I literally had girls that were like, oh yeah, he was supposed to de-virginize me for my birthday, and he didn't. And I was right there. And what would I do now? Well, let's say, age appropriate. I'd say, well, allow me to gift you a present. In fact, kind of a small little thing. With women back in the day, whether they were friends or acquaintances or whatever, I used to have this thing where I used to gift them a birthday sausage. The women that know me from way back when, they know this is true. So, for example, there's this girl, her name's Crystal. She was a little chunky or whatever, but I would gift birthday sausages. So I'd show up to the party, I'd have nothing. Sometimes I'd bring like a bottle of tequila, but I would drink that myself. But I would always say, I felt obligated, like it was something I had to do. I was like, you know what? This poor girl deserves some good to medium average dick. No, I'm kidding. No, I knew I was going to take it to Pound Town. So I used to gift birthday sausages or whatever, and one sausage to be frank. Get it? So, but anyway. Now, back in 2001, I was a sales rep. And every Christmas, we'd have a company Christmas party, and it was held up in the mountains at a banquet hall, but there would be like a bar, it was a restaurant, it was kind of like they would set it up as a buffet, and we would do award ceremonies, stuff like that. And anyway, at this one function, there would probably be close to 6 or 7 offices, like different offices like Thornton, Westminster, Aurora. So other offices of people and women that I didn't know, that no one knew. So this one year, think about this, I'm 16 years old, and we already had a plan to rent a hotel, drink a lot of alcohol, and just go ham. And we knew we were going to invite some unsuspected sexual partners. Well, they would eventually suspect it, but we knew that we were going to invite some women over, and the goal was to plug away. Now, I always have kind of avoided sex because for some reason I was a little nervous about being a young father. Not to mention, I used to, as a young man, young men are like real horny. I was told that I used to beat it way too much to where I probably had something. So it's kind of weird. Like as a young man, you're kind of weird. So I was like, I don't know. I'm giving too much information already. But I knew that was the night. I was ready. It's like I had my finger on the trigger and I was just ready to shoot something up. Not literally, in a glove. I was going to shoot it in a glove, and I knew that was part of the game plan. So anyway, we're there, and I was underage, but you better believe, since we had alcohol in the car going to the party, we're going to stay at the American Hotel. Now, I know many of you aren't from Colorado, Westminster, the Denver metro area, but the American Hotel is a place that now drug addicts and junkies go, but back then, it was just a cheap hotel. And it was like $29.99. So we were drinking at the truck. Well, I used to have a truck. We were drinking at the truck. We were doing our thing. We'd see girls walk by that were like entering the, it's called like the Crystal Palace or the Crystal Rose. And there were a lot of women that we didn't know. But every time she had long hair and we knew it was a female, we're like, hey, come here. We have some alcohol. And they're like, oh, cool. That's awesome. Mondo. I think that's what they used to say back then. No, I'm kidding. They didn't. But so anyway, so we're greasing the wheels, talking to women, drinking like, hey, just so you know, at the end of tonight, we got a hotel. We're gonna have a party in a Momo. And so like the girls are like, oh, really? That sounds pretty radical. And I was like, cool, sweet. So anyway, I went there, I was there with all my buddies, and we had a pretty solid buzz, like a pretty solid one. And they did the award ceremonies. I don't think I got one that night. But as we were leaving, all of the beautiful, attractive women we talked to, they just hopped in their car and they just took off down the mountain. It was like right up Lookout Mountain. And Lookout Mountain is a mountain. It's like a real windy road and whatever. So I'm like, fuck. But thank God, or maybe not thank God, they were the ghetto office. This was the office to where, sure, they'd, make some sales or whatever, because I'm an ex-salesman. They'd make some good sales, but let's just say that, like one girl, trailer park trash, like nothing against the trailer park, but I'm trying to describe a metaphor on how ghetto these girls were. So this is like the bottom of the barrel. This is like bottom shelf. But the Christmas party's over. The hotel party's starting in about who knows when, like as soon as we get down to the mountain, we're going to be there. We're going to be partying, and we have no women here. It was like we're running 3 dicks strong, 6 balls. We're talking 6 balls here and no women. So I was like, well, we're going to need a few sets of tits to counteract these weenuses. And so as they were walking out, I'm like, I was a horny pig. I was ready to lose my virginity. But I was still like, you know what? Fuck it. If I have to play in the mud with these mud ducks, I will. If I have to do it, don't make me fuck you. This is what I'm telling myself. This is like my pep talk in my head. I was like, don't make me fucking ugly, bitch, because I fucking will. And I'll do it, and I won't like it, but I will like it. And so anyway, start talking to them, and I'm like, hey, so there was two girls, fell short one set of tits, but I was like, fuck it, it's better than hanging out with these three fuckers, or these two fuckers, us three fuckers. But so anyway, so I'm talking to them. I'm like, yeah, we have a hotel party, we have liquor, we have some vodka. We bought like the cheap handled vodka. Back in the day, that used to be the shit. Now the funny part is when we were talking to the more attractive women, we pulled out the vodka and we're like, hey, look. And they're like, ugh. And I was like, oh, that's not good. They don't like this. But like with these like nasty bitches, they were like, ooh, you got Skull vodka? Hell yeah. And I was like, all right, that's we're in there like swimwear apparently. So I make one of the girls jump in with me. And yes, I was drinking and driving. Well, not driving, only at the stop signs and red lights. But so we cruised down the mountain, and my friend was ahead of me. He brought his vehicle. He had a nice, beautiful 1998 Jeep Wrangler. And so he had one of the girls with him, the biggest slut, I might add. And I had the one that was, she had red hair, wasn't overweight, nice tits, no kids. And the one that was in my friend's Jeep, I think she was like 17. She had 3 kids, did 4 years in prison. She was seasoned, but she wasn't discouraged, because as we were cruising down the hill, I started seeing like some tits press against the back window on the Jeep. And if you know a Jeep, it's like a flat window. And so I seen him, and I was like, are those tits, or is that a gym sock with vomit in it? Because I'm telling you, these are not nice. We're not talking nice here. We're talking fucking stretch marks. It looked like a white gym sock with vomit in it, and it's kind of like deformed. And like where the areola would be, it looked like somebody wiped their ass, it was like a little round. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Even then, as a virgin and horny as hell, I was like... But the party must continue. The night had to go on. It had to. So anyway, we're cruising down the mountain, and finally we pull up to the American Motel. And as we get there, apparently Vomit Tits liked me. She liked me. The girl that was in my car, she liked me too. But anyway, us guys were trying to figure out what was going on. Now, my little bit older buddy, he was like, hey, man, I want none of this nasty shit. He wasn't a virgin, so, he knew what slumming it was, and he wasn't ready to participate. Then I looked at my buddy, and he was like, fuck it, I'll do it. I won't like it, but I'll do it, and like it. So, anyway, as we go in there, I start talking to the girl that I like. She's a redhead, so this is the best way I could describe her. She was the redhead. She was the one that looked the best, I guess, it was doable. Because although I was a virgin and a horny pig, I still was like, I'm not sticking my dick in toxic waste. I will not do that. This thing is too precious. It may not be brown. It's pink, and it looks like a polished piece of granite, so it's beautiful. And it's just beautiful, shiny, just smelled brand new, like the wrapper just came off. It was beautiful. But I still wasn't sticking it in just anything. So I'm like, all right, so the redhead's doable. The brunette was Vomit Tits. And so I was talking to the redhead. My friend was talking to Vomit Tits. Now, he kind of knew the game plan. He knew I was a virgin. I think he had sex like one other time. But I was like, hey, man, you got to take one for the team, because I'm not doing anything anywhere near that thing. Now, the brunette, like I said, she literally had like 2 or 3 kids. She was 17. She just looks like she fell off the ugly tree. And then the ugly truck backed over her and then forward and backward. And then when the ugly truck left, the ugly garbage truck came and picked her fat ass up and threw her in the back. So I talked to my friend, and I'm like, hey, bro, you got to take one for the team. I want the redhead. So he was like kind of bummed out, but he was like, all right, let's do this, man. Tonight is your night. And I was like, yes. So anyway, at this point, I was in my truck. My friend was in his Jeep. We had two vehicles. My friend that was older that did not want to participate, he just didn't want to watch me and my friend banging these fucking mud ducks. So he's like, hey man, like, I'm gonna get out of here, like, just, keep it tight, keep that condom on tight, man. Use two of them. And then he reached into his wallet, and then he pulled out a condom, and he's like, here, this is gonna be your backup. And I looked at it, I examined it, and it was so dry that I, like, squeezed and a fucking feather popped out, and, like, white powder. That's how old it was. So I was like, yeah, thanks, buddy, thanks. So anyway, he leaves. So as me and my friend are rapping to the girls, the brunette keeps giving me that evil eye, like that. She has a beer in one eye, a little beer, and then she has my dick in her other eye, and I'm like, like trying to calm it down, like, hey, I'm with her, And so she starts to get a little fussy. So she kind of gets mad about something, and she calls the girl, the redhead, and she's like, hey, I need to talk to you out in the hallway. This is not right. And I was like, what the fuck? Now, keep in mind this. Me and my friend, we were both young. We both were barely experiencing vagina. We didn't know how to be manipulative in that sort of way. We were just fucking winging it, to be honest, I had game, I had riz, I had many girlfriends, but still, like, I wasn't even pressing the fucking issue, to be honest. If these girls would have said, call a cab, we're out of here, I'd have been like, whatever. It wouldn't have been a big deal. If they would have, we're leaving with your friend and he's giving us a ride home, then that's fine. So apparently the brunette does tell the redhead that, oh yeah, I wanted to get a ride home with this friend because I need to go home, blah, blah, blah. Her friend was basically mad because I didn't like her the way she liked me. And apparently it seems like she liked everybody except for she just didn't like my friend, and she wanted me, and she was upset about that. So the friend comes back in. I keep almost saying her name. And you know what? I may as well say it. Fuck it. Her name was Desi. The redhead, her name was Desi. So Desi comes in, and she's like, yeah, she's tripping outside. I think she thought that you guys are going to be hanging out tonight. And, like, I don't know what to do. She's trying to get us to go home. Will you give us a ride home? And I was like, no, girl, don't go home. It's me, Uncle Chris. Like, come on, baby. Not literally, but, it's me. And she's like, well, then you're going to have to talk her into it because she wants to go and she's a stubborn bitch. And I was like, fuck. So then I'm like, all right, you keep preheating that oven. I'll be back to stick my loaf in it here in a little bit, So I go out into the hallway and she's out there fucking curling her hair like, this is fucked up. I know what you guys are trying to do. And I was like, well, you have fucking 3 kids. Of course you've seen this game before. You've been to this puppet show and you've seen the fucking strings. Sure, what can I do to make you happy? All I need is a fucking hour. I kind of leveled with her, and she was just like, well, how come you don't like me? And I'm like, oh god, well, the truth is you're just too beautiful. You're too beautiful, you're too attractive, you have beautiful, wonderful children. I cannot even contend with a woman of your beauty. I can barely even look at you, you're so hot. And she's like, you're stupid. Because I probably did say something like that. I've always been witty and sarcastic and disrespectful. So, anyway, so she starts getting frustrated because she's trying to make advances. She's like, well, we could still hang out, and I'm like, oh, God, no. Like, sure, I was a virgin, but I wasn't trying to cut my penis off and throw it in the trash or flush it down the toilet. So anyway, I'm like, fuck, man. She's like, I want to go home. She's like, she could stay here. She's like, but I'm going home. So either you're going to take me home or I'm going to call the cops. I'm like, whoa, holy shit. Like, back then, I was young. I didn't know women pulled stupid shit like this. So I was like, all right, cool. You put that phone away. I'll take you home. So I go back into the hotel room, and it was a suite, I might add, I had 2 beds, and it wasn't sweet, but you know what I mean. So anyway, I talked to my friend, and I could see my friend really had no interest in the redhead. In fact, actually, I don't want to say this because he might see this video. But anyway, so he kind of was like kind of shooting her down. She was already laying in the bed. all bullshit aside, she was laying in the bed acting like she was sleeping already, but I knew what that meant. She was ready for some of that action. So anyway, I was like, hey, I'm going to go take her home real quick. Like, I'm going to speed. I'll be right back, you know? And they're like, he was like, cool. She was, but she really was sleeping actually. Because as I walked by, she grabbed my, you know what she grabbed. And so anyway, so I'm like, okay, hop in the car. Or yeah, let's go. She hops in my truck. And I'm like, okay, where do you live? And she's like, I live on like Kentucky and Sheridan. It was like fucking 30 minutes. The roads were bad. You know, it was like, fuck, this is a fucking mission. Like, I was ready to pull this thing out and use it. For the first time in my life, I was ready to pull this thing out and say, you know what? I'm a winner too. You're a wiener too. And so I'm like, fuck, man. So we are in the truck and I'm trying to throw a shit fit enough or complain enough for her to say, well, you don't have to take me home. I'm like, fuck, man, that's fucking far. Like, son of a bitch, you don't have a friend, you don't have anybody closer. And so she was like getting pissed. So anyway, I'm like, fuck, man. So anyway, we're in my truck and we pull up to the fucking the stoplight. She's like, hey, can we go to that gas station real quick? And I'm like, fuck, man. And she's like, what the fuck, motherfucker? So she flips out and starts like banging her fucking fist on my fucking, the dashboard. She was in the side of my truck. Now, I've always really taken good care of my vehicles. I kept them clean. I babied them. And she's like literally doing some shit that if one of my friends did it, I would fucking kill them. Banging. And I was like, what the fuck is your problem? So she's like, nothing. She fucking like pulls the handle on the seat, pushes herself back and starts kicking it with her feet. And I'm like, what the fuck? This fucking crazy bitch. So anyway, I pull into the fucking gas station and I had to turn a little charm on. So I walk over there from the driver's seat. Like at first I didn't want shit to do with this bitch. I was pissed. But then I'm walking out of my door, disgusted, like, you son of a bitch. And then as I turn the corner and she could see my face as I'm going in front of the truck, I turn on the charm and I'm like walking in slow motion over to her. I open the door and I say, hey girl, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? What's up? And then I moved in. I said, let me tell you something in your ear. This used to be my dumb thing. And then I'd kiss her on the neck. And then she's, oh, wow, you're amazing. And then I was like, can we just go back to the hotel and just put all this bullshit to sleep? Can we put this shit to rest? You're here, I'm here, it's here, and it's ready. And she's like, no. So she finally calms down. She's like, no, but really, I'm ready to go home. And I was like, all right, cool, I get it. Well, we're here at the store. Go ahead and get what you want. So I calmed her down so she wouldn't break my shit. And she's like, well, now I'm kind of afraid that you're gonna leave me. And I was like, what? Leave you? What kind of a pig do you think I am? I would never. I said, in fact, here's $2. Get me a pack of gum. And then I kind of gave her as if that meant I was going to stick my tongue down her throat again. And she's like, I'd feel more comfortable if you went with me. And I was like, oh, yeah, shit, yeah. So we walk out of the truck, and, I make sure I don't lock my door. Make sure her door gets locked. And so we walk to the gas station, and as soon as we enter the fucking door, I fucking pushed her as hard as I could. Now, here's what I remember. Not that I would not remember anything, but it was so fast. It was a glimpse. The guy, the gas station worker, actually was like coming outside as we were walking in. And so when I she opened the door and then I pushed her, she flew right into him and then into 2 racks of chips. Flaming Hots were all over the floor. It was terrible. And I fucking got the fuck out of there. I fucking ran back to my truck. Now, I wasn't very far, I was far enough to where I didn't think she'd walk back and, hey, motherfucker. But it was far, we were already kind of driving or whatever, and thank God she didn't know the area. But I hop back in my truck and I'm fucking driving back to the American motel. I pull in there, I park, and then I go inside of the room, and I'm like, "Hey, where's my friend at? Where's he at?" And she's like, "Oh, he left. He had his mom come pick him up. I guess he was tired." And I was like, "Really? Well, well, welcome to party time." And then I, ooh, ah. And it was terrible. It was terrible, but it was my first time, and I at least wasn't shy. Because I've always been a perfectionist. So I always told myself as a young man, I was like, you know what? Once I start having sex, I better be fucking good at it. Because I can't afford to be terrible at it, because everyone will laugh at me. So I probably didn't slay that night, but years later, I'm fucking, maybe not a porn star, but definitely amateur porn, for sure. So that's my very, very first story. So before I begin on my next one, I would like to say like, comment, share, and subscribe. You could always hit me with that Cash App. I will gladly be your prostitute for the night. But you can't fuck me. Actually, no, just like what do women call it? Like the financial transaction, like you're paying for my time. Yeah, one of those. So the next episode. So there was a girl that was actually with one of my best friends. Now, they were only together for a short period of time. It was only like 3 months or whatever. But you have to realize one thing. My friend was kind of like, in and out of relationships, very moody, very emotional. He'd get mad about something and then get pissed. Like, I think he liked that dynamic. So, and this is before I had enough integrity and enough class to where I won't even touch one of my friends' exes or nothing. But back then, it was fair game. It was fair game. So anyway, her and I started talking or whatever, and her and I end up getting together for about 6 months. Or we got together, but we were together for like 6 months. I was young. I was 18 years old. And, no, I was 17. And, it was nothing serious. Like, she had her own place. I had my own place or whatever. And my friend was cool. He gave me permission, but I probably would have continued to fuck her anyway. Now, this girl was a little bit of a trip because, like, apparently, back when my friend was dating her, I was dating her friend. And I don't want to give her name because something fucked up really happened, and I think that would be disrespectful, even though I'm a disrespectful kind of guy. But I'm not going to do it. But I was with her friend. My friend was with her. The friend that I was with had huge, huge tits. But anyway, like, her and I didn't last long. She was, like, on some fucking bullshit, and I didn't tolerate it. And then, then my friend, like, his thing dwindled down with her. And so anyway, her and I were together for about 6 months. And she was definitely trouble. Now I know why she gravitated towards my friend who was more drama, because she was fucking drama. We would literally go to a party, and if a girl even looked at me, she'd get super jealous. I'm going to go sit in the car. And she would do all that shit. And then I'd be like, hey, chill the fuck out. Like, everything's all good. And I'll admit, I was a little bit of a kiss ass, like a young man. And so that situation definitely happened. I was talking, or a girl looked at me, and then she said something. I responded. She wanted to go sit in the car. Her and I squared it away because this party was pretty lit. Like, it was popping. I was like, fuck, I want to go party. And so anyway, so she's like, okay, I'll come back, but only if we leave in 2 hours. And I was like, all right, cool. So we go in there, and the first fucking thing she does, she starts talking to another guy. So I'm like, oh, okay, we're out of here. We're fucking out of here. If this were modern times, I would let her talk to the guy. I'd pick up another woman, and I would take her home. And she would be more attractive. She would be better. And she wouldn't be like her, that she was only 8. She was actually 19, and she already had 6 abortions. So you do the math. And so I'm like, no, fuck this. We're out of here, because it was like the guy's friend's house. It was all his friends. And I'm like, fuck, this is going to turn into a shootout or something. Who knows? So anyway, we go back to my place, and her and I are fooling around like back then, it's like you didn't take shit personal. Her and I are fooling around or whatever. And then she jumps off of me real weird. Like, she gets real tight. And then she jumps off me. And before her feet land on the ground, outside of my bed, I heard like water, or what I thought pissing. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I heard it, and it wasn't like a couple of, like, a little bit. Like, she was like literally like taking a full on out piss on the floor. And so I'm like, what the fuck? And it grossed me the fuck out. Like, she even tried to like finish, like, and well, I guess I would want to finish, but I was like, fuck this. So I was like, what the fuck? And it's funny because it was a concrete floor. My room was in the basement, and I knew that puddle had to be pretty fucking big. She had to be standing in it. So on top of that, once she finishes, she jumps in the bed, and I hear like wet feet on concrete. And I'm like, what the fuck? Because I've always been really clean, and I was like, what the fuck? So she jumps in bed, and I don't even want shit to do with her. I'm like, fuck. It grossed me out to the point where I was thinking, how in the fuck can I get her to leave? I want her out of here. This bitch pissed on my fucking floor. It's on her feet. Now it's on my bed. And I was just like, damn, this is fucking terrible. It bothered me so much that I literally slept for like 3 hours. And then I got up. I tried to mop it all up. And at first I was going to mop it up and pretend like it didn't happen because she was faded, I was faded, and it was all good. But I knew I would never be really faded to piss on the floor unless I chose to, unless I decided this is what I'm going to do. But anyways, so the next morning, I get up, I fucking mop it. I got like fucking bleach in a bucket. I'm dumping it. I'm cleaning it. I'm trying to dry it. And I'm like, I'm definitely breaking up with her. Like, I don't want shit to do with her anymore. But I don't want to embarrass her because she was kind of a crazy bitch, So I was trying to, get her out of there, kick her to the curb, get her out of my house. And then eventually, like, hey, this isn't going to work. I was ready to make up any lie. I was going to say I'm gay or something. I was just, because she was crazy. And, a whole bunch of drama. She was just full of fucking drama. So anyway, she wakes up, like, eventually, like, the floor's dry. It looks like nothing happened. I'm fucking still pissed, kind of scanning the blankets for yellow marks or whatever. And then she wakes up, and I'm like, hey, I got called into work. I got to go to work. She's like, on Sunday? And I was like, yeah, of course. You got to work as a man, She was just like, oh, yeah, I get it. Okay, well, because normally if she'd come hang out on the weekends, she'd hang out, like, she'd come over Friday night, and she wouldn't leave until Sunday night. Sometimes she'd spend the night, and I'd take her home early Monday. But I'm like, yeah, I got to get her the fuck out of here. So anyway, I take her home, and then she lived by Sloan's Lake. People that don't know Denver, it's like a big, huge lake. It's pretty popular. People know what it is. So I took her home, and I dipped the fuck out of there. I'm like, this fucking bitch. And then, so as I'm like driving or whatever, like, pick up my phone, I give her a call, and I'm like, hey, some shit's happened. So I concocted a huge lie in my head. And then I called her, and I forgot what I was going to say. So I was like, hey, like, we can't be together anymore. And she's like, why? And it caught me off guard. I was like, hell, I don't know. How dare you ask me that? Like, I'm going through some shit. And she's like, no, I love you. Oh, I left my boyfriend for you. Not my friend, but I guess she got another guy after that. But, oops, sorry. Just kidding. But anyway, so I'm just like, yeah, hey, we'll talk about it later. I can't tell you exactly what's going on right now, but when I tell you, you're going to feel terrible for me, and you're going to feel bad that you're putting me through this right now. And so she thought it was some serious shit, and I was just doing that to buy myself more time. I'm like, fuck, I'm going to have to come with some better fucking material than that. Like, I'm going to have to really say some shit here, because I really built this one up like, hey, my spaceship was completed, and me and my family are going back to our planet. Like, I made it sound that serious. And so, anyway, okay, so not knowing really what to say, I did what any man in my position would do, and I just simply quit replying to her. I quit calling her, and I basically fell off the face of the earth. And it's funny because, like, years later, I seen her at the club, and she was like, her and I were both drinking. I was like, hey, I gotta tell you something. You remember that night when you pissed on my floor? And she's like, pissed? She's like, huh? And I was like, no, you pissed on my floor. And she's like, I didn't pee. She's like, I squirted it. And I was like, really? And like by then, like this is years later, I'm fucking Pound Town Supreme, like the king of the dingling, like doing my thing type shit. And I knew what that was, you know? Like I've done it before, and I never put two and two together that I just made her squirt. And I kind of wondered, I was like, that don't smell like piss. Like, maybe a little bit, but no, it really didn't, you know, and it was pretty clear, you know, because I checked it out. I was like, let me put a pregnancy test in this, make sure she's not pregnant, because I'm leaving her after this shit. And so that was that. Now, the sad part, it is years later, I seen her on the news. They got pulled over to help somebody, and a car didn't pay attention, slammed brakes, ran her over, and it's fucked up. Not trying to joke, you know, rest in peace. But, yeah, so that's why I didn't want to give too much detail, because I have a lot of detail, but I'm not going to say it. You're going to have to hit me up on Patreon for all the details. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so now we are going to fast forward until 2017. Now, in 2017, I got my groove back. For the last few years, like I was in a 5-year-long relationship that ended in 2015. 2016, I began the rebuilding process of my life. Because like most women, when a relationship fails and you break up with them, she kept all my shit. Now, it was one of those things, when I first met this girl, I had a condo, all brand new furniture, a beautiful Audi. I had it fucking flat screens in every room. I even had a gym upstairs in my loft. And I had everything. And when her and I got more serious and we coupled up and we bought a house and we got new furniture and everything, I put all of my shit in storage. I had weights. I had like 6,000 pounds of plates, of weights, of hex dumbbells, like the whole shebang. I had tight shit. And so I put it in storage, and I was like, I guess I'll figure this stuff out later. And I kind of knew if shit ever hit the fan, I am not starting from scratch like I always have. So anyway, to make a long story even longer, apparently that bitch was giving my shit away to her family in fucking Mexico and El Paso. So by the time, you know, her and I ended or whatever, I didn't have a goddamn thing in there except the bill for my late storage fees. But anyway, so 2017, I'm back on my feet. I'm doing my thing. I'm getting phone numbers, taking names, and just putting her to sleep. Now, the interesting thing about this is normally out of all my friends, I've always been the one with the most game. They used to call me the dime piece slayer because I would just demolish shit. But this time I was hanging out with a friend, one of my buddies. Now, this buddy was actually the first friend of mine that was actually equally, if not better, with women than I was. Me and this guy were so good at macking up women, pulling them from the club, and taking them home that we would literally talk to beautiful, attractive women, and then we'd say, or like I would say, and he would do the same thing, like, oh, I'm bored with you, and then walk on to the next girl. Start gaming her up, starting from ground zero, boom, 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 building rapport, boom, back at our townhouse that same night. So we were that fucking good. So in 2017, we did what all gentlemen and respectable young men would do. We seen who can have sex with more women. And so him and I were living together. We were doing our thing. We were working. We were making good money. We were going out. Sometimes we'd go out and buy ecstasy, and you know, we were going ham. So anyway, like we were putting them down. Women, boom, boom, boom. I got up 5 girls to 0. And then I remember one Saturday, he caught up to me in one fucking day. All bullshit aside, a girl came over in the morning. A different girl came over for lunchtime. A girl came over that night, and then she had to go home. Her husband kept blowing her up. True story. Shout out to the Brighton Police Department. But anyway, so And then that night, him and I went out to the local spot, and then it happened, you know? So anyway, and I remember, like, he was kind of like a muscular dude. It was like, that night, the things I heard come out of that bedroom, it was like the house lifted off the ground. It was shaking like, do, do, do. I felt sorry for her vagina. I was like, holy shit. How can you take that kind of a beating and come back for more? So anyway, he caught up to me in one day. But anyway, so I was messing around with this Vietnamese, Laos, or actually no, Thai and Laos. And she was attractive, you know. She was, 4'9", soaking wet. And, thin, petite. Now, usually Asians are really smart. They're have high IQs, super intelligent. I mean, these fuckers are good with numbers. They're good with math, boom, boom, boom. Fucking geometry, algebra, fucking quantum physics and shit. But she didn't get that gene. And if she did, she took those genes off, threw it in the washer, and fucking lost him. But she was pretty fucking stupid. I'll be honest. I'll be frank. She was pretty stupid. Like, one time I was like, hey, she's like, I want some of those. And I was like, what, jelly beans? She's like, I love jelly beans. And I was like, what the fuck? Holy shit. We even went to watch the Tupac movie. And, like, we went there. And she was just like, hey, so are we going back to your place tonight? And this was the first time that I lied and made it so believable. So I was like, actually, I got to work tomorrow. I got work. I'm going to go home. I'm going to crash out. Now, this girl knew that was not me. That was not my vibe. Because she worked at Ameristar Hotel and Casino. And she would literally get off of work at 2. She would go down the hill. It's like a long drive. She would be there about 2:40. She would come over to my place. Her and I would drink all fucking night. Drink and have sex and do the most. And then she would leave right around 6. I would sleep for about 30 minutes, and then I'd be up at 6:30 to go to work. So she knew I didn't get down like that, but she was kind of getting a little bit too attached, and I was like, I had other options, other things going on, and so I was trying to get rid of her. So when she realized this was happening, she walked out of the Tupac movie. It was at the theater downtown, and she's literally like walking down the street. Now, her being mad isn't the funny part. It was just the way she looked. She was just like walking down the street, like real fucking short. Looked like fucking Dora the Explorer, Asian version, walking down the street, real fucking mad. Like, I don't fucking motherfucker. So I'm like literally like chasing her, like, hey, the car's that way. Where in the fuck are you going? I got a date here in a fucking... I didn't tell her that, but I'm like, what the fuck? Like, come on, let's go. We gotta go this way. I get it, you're mad. Quit seeing me. Cut me off. I get it. I've been a terrible, terrible man, and you deserve the fucking world because you're so smart and tall. And she was just like throwing a shit fit, like literally walking the wrong way down the 16th Street Mall. And so I'm like, what the fuck? And it was funny because as I'm walking down the fucking street, I seen guys that I knew. Like, I seen a buddy of mine. I was like, hey, what's up, dude? Hey. Him and I start rapping or whatever. Now, this girl could fucking drink. In fact, me, my friend, and her, we could fucking put down 2/5 of Jack Daniels. Absolutely. We'd Crown or JMO. But... yeah, that's what we would do. And like me, her, and him, we could fucking put that shit fucking down. So clearly her and I already fucked up. And so like I see my friend and I'm like talking, I'm like, hey bro, meet this girl. And she's like, he's nothing but a fucker. Fuck you, Chris. Fuck you. And I was like, whoa, holy shit. I'm like, well, I better get this one home. It's time for her bedtime. And so anyway, so I finally get her to go back, and then she sits in the fucking car, and I'm like, hurry up and start the fucking car. I have somebody fucking coming over. They're meeting me over at my place. I don't want you to fucking see them. Fucking pull over to come to pick me up. And so she just like sits in the car and just sits there, and she looks over me with the dumbest fucking look I ever seen. Like, you're such a fucking asshole. And then she rips off my clothes and we do it in the backseat of the car. So anyway, so we go back to my place. And at this point, I had to cancel my other date or whatever. And she's like, I feel like going to the bar. She wouldn't fucking leave. I think it was like her sixth sense to where she knew she could sense something was going on. Because she started to like me. You know, at first she was like, I don't want you to be the kind of guy to where you catch feelings for me because I'm not looking for a relationship. And I was like, I don't want a relationship either. And then she cut off sex. And I was like, hey, I'm not going to hang out with you since you cut sex off. And then, you know, and she thought by me saying that I meant that I wanted a relationship or whatever. And then when I cut her off, she's like, I just want things to go back to the way they used to be. So I'm like, all right, cool. Well, you know, let's keep it casual. Let's keep it jiggy, baby. And so she was like, okay, well, I see we're going to try for a relationship. I'm like, what? Anyway, so me, my friend, we're at our place and we're pre-gaming. Now, keep in mind, it's not really that late, but it's getting pretty fucking late. And she's going to be our designated drunk driver because I wasn't going to put my driver's license on. Plus, I was on the run from the cops, had bounty hunters looking for me and everything. But anyway, so we go to some pizza place right down the street from our place. Banging ass pizza. It's like a bar, but they sell pizza there. And then we bar hop a little bit or whatever. And I won't lie, I got a little on the fucked up side. In fact, I fucking blacked out. Like, it's like real patchy and crazy. But anyway, so it's like finally we're done. We're, you know, winding down, and she's fucked up too. In fact, she's doing her best impression of a sober driver that could keep her car between the lines, but she was fucking like fucking Pac-Man. Dip, 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 dip. But so anyway, and don't ask me why I did this. It's not like I consciously decided to do this, but we're driving, and then I pull out my dick and I start pissing. True story, swear to God, ask anybody that I know. I pulled it out and it shot to the fucking ceiling. And I'm fucking peeing everywhere. It's fucking going everywhere. My friend's in the back like, oh, dog, what? What the fuck's wrong with you? She's like, you motherfucker. And then she pulls over all fucking crazy. And she's like, get your fucking friend out of my car, Joe. Get your friend out of my car. And so, like, I step out of the car like, yeah, I'm fucked up, but I'm not sloppy. Well, yeah, I was sloppy, but I wasn't falling over. So I step out of the car and I'm like, hey, like, calm down. I'm just joking. I'm just fucking joking here. April Fools, you know, like that wasn't even real piss. So I'm mad at you now. And so like my friend, and she's fucking crying. She's like crying. She's no longer upset. She's fucking heartbroken. Like, how can he do this to my car? And she's like fucking crying, bawling her eyes out. And I will say this, some of the whiskey probably grabbed her by the boo-boo. She wasn't all that upset. People pee in people's cars all the time, you know, and it's completely normal and completely acceptable. And I'm not going to take full blame for this because she was drunk. So anyway, he's like talking to her like off the ledge. She's like, I'm just gonna fucking leave him here, and I know you won't go without him, but I'm gonna leave both you guys here then because this is fucked up. This is the most disrespectful thing I've ever been through. And he's like, hey, look, he's drunk. I didn't want to tell you this, but he's had a long day. Some serious shit happened like in his life. You know, like cut him up. Don't do it for him. Do it for me. She's like, I'm doing it for you, Joe. Okay, I'm doing it for you. And so, like, this motherfucker had to basically, like, convince her hard to let me in. So she looks over at me, and she's like, I hope you don't have to pee anymore, son of a bitch. So I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. So we hop back in the car. I close the door behind me. And then I finished my piss. I finished it. And I just same story, same situation. And I don't know why. Like, she was like dumb, retarded, and stupid combined simultaneously in one concoction of one short Asian Thai Lao whatever. But for some reason, I aimed at her this time. I aimed at her, I aimed at the ceiling, I aimed at the window like I was, this time, I did it on purpose. I don't know why. I don't know fucking why. But, I had to do it. I don't know why. Something told me that was the right thing to do. So anyway, we get, back to the house. She takes the fuck off. pissed. Drops me and my friend off at our place. And I pass the fuck out. And I wake up. And I go wake my friend up. I'd wake up and fuck with him like, hey, wake up, pussy. What the fuck are you doing, you fat son of a... No, not really. But he would fuck with me. I'd fuck with him. So I went in his room and was like, damn, I can't believe what you did last night. You're heartless, bro. And I was like, really? What did I do? Did I stick my dick in her mouth again? And he's like, no, bro. Even worse. And I was like, whoa. Nothing's worse than that. And he was like, you don't remember? And I did kind of remember. I was like, fuck. I was wondering why, I smelled like piss, but I was like, no, why? What happened? What did I do? And I knew about the pissing, but he was like so serious. He was kind of like one of those like, you don't remember? And I was like, what the fuck? Did I hit and run somebody last night? Did I shoot somebody? What did I do? And he's like, man, you pissed in her car. And I was like, pissed in her car? What kind of a sick joke is this? And I was like, yeah, I know, I remember. And I remember I waited to finish. Like, I remember you pulled me out of the car and I waited till I went back in until I finished. And he's like, you're fucking funny. I did feel bad, though. I was like, you know what? She's probably not going to want to talk to me anymore. And I agree with her. I don't think her and I... What I did was so bad that she should, get out of my life and allow me to fuck this new girl that I'm interested in peace. And it's for her. It was all for her. So anyway, I shot her a text message, and I was like, hey, you're not going to reply to me, but I just want you to know that I'm going to pay to get your car detailed. Inside and out. And she calls me up right away, and she's like, you know what? She's like, what you did last night was the most disrespectful, heartless thing I've ever experienced. I need to see you. And I was like, all right. And she's like, I want to see you, but we're not going to drink because I don't ever want to be around you when you drink ever again because that was not cool. And she's like, but we do need to talk. We have a lot of things we have to sort out, Christopher. And usually when they say Christopher, it means I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble or they're pregnant. One of the two. So anyway, I'm like, all right, cool. So, like a man of my word as I am, I'm like, yeah, no drinking. No drinking. So as I'm getting ready, jump out of the shower, me and my friend are drinking, we're drinking some fucking Upslope. It's some like fucking IPA type shit, strong beer, strong like bull. Taking shots of fucking whiskey or whatever. So she comes and walks in. Our door was unlocked. She comes and walks in. She looks. She's like, well, give me a shot of that. Why don't you pour me a shot, Joe? And then her and I are cheersing or whatever. And all of a sudden, all is forgotten. All is forgiven. I'm like, hey. And she's like, okay, well, your friend's going to have to take me out to get something to eat, Joe, because he pissed in my fucking car. And I was like, I don't remember anything that happened. I don't remember. And Joe was laughing. Oh, I already said his name. He's fucking laughing. I'm like, giving the fucking jerk off side, like, I don't give a fuck. Ah. So anyway, we go to the restaurant. And she definitely had to pay. I made her pay. I don't know why, but I was like, she's fucking paying. I peed in her car, but she's paying. And she might just be paying for that detail job anyway. She forced me to pee myself. She forced me to pee in her face. How dare her? So anyway, we went there and she did not even bring up the, you're not supposed to be drinking in front of me, blah, blah, blah. And all was well, all was forgiven. I didn't pee on her again that she did not consent to. But anyway, that's it. So that's it for my stories. Now, I know they may sound crazy. They may sound off the wall. But I can assure you, unfortunately, they are all true. I'm a lot of things in this world. I'm not a fucking liar. So don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching The Radical Masculine. Have a good night. See you in hell, motherfucker. Spaceman.